Yeah, so first and foremost, Kinshuk, thank you for bringing us this wonderful, moving, very intimate, and very gently made film about Sanjivani and women like her. So please, thank you very much once more. One of the things that you had mentioned when we were talking, and which is also there in the credits of your film, you said that you have put in a significant amount of effort and time in making this film with them and not just about them. Yeah. And some of it is, of course, apparent in the film, the withness rather than the about. But could you actually share how that came about? And two things I would like to ask you. One is the process of how the with happened. Yeah. And did that determine the kind of film that got made? Yeah?
Thank you for inviting, and thank you for staying back after long film. The process actually wasn't planned that I will make it in this way, but however, I have felt that often, there are two parts to it. One is the aesthetic part, and one is the process. Aesthetically, I often see many kind of choices being made which makes one feel observing and not with them. A very simple example is just using light in a way that makes some of the people who knew them from before, when they watched, they said, "Oh, these are our women." So the reactions have been, "They don't look like farm women. Oh, they have such beautiful saris. Are they really in pain?" These are the kinds of mindsets with which our gaze has been predisposed to look and conditioned. And media, in that sense, has played a huge role in how the urban thinks about the rural. Even one of the best films in that sense, say Peoply Live, might also have that. Swades might also have one of those tropes. So there was some kind of ideology that we do want to change the way gaze. However, the process was completely formed while being there because of a sense of guilt.
How the filmmaker's guilt of
how do I enter in a space where someone hasn't eaten for days, their eyes staring in vacuum, and maybe just a month ago or maybe a few weeks ago a suicide has occurred. How does one begin a conversation? And even putting a camera feels like a sin. Secondly, on the other hand, I also, as I kept traveling, also met women who, despite ostracization, have significantly taken steps to defy the boundaries of society, family, traditions. And even more beautiful, what I found is a sense of a culture to be there for the other in grief. And this, even Sanjivani once said, which is not in the film, when we in the act of listening, your own grief becomes smaller. Now, in a Western sense, to compare grief is not a good idea, but this is what she feels. And it did hit me that grief can be Sanjeevani made me understand that grief can be unselfing. It is not only that closes itself, but it also helps you to understand the pain of the other. In that process, your own pain, you're consoling yourself as one is consoling the other. So seeing these things, and there's a culture of Maitri Gut, of Bachat Guts.
Yeah.
So we then, as we kept discussing, there was always this sense that this pain neither lets you die or lets you live. At least if you can be there for someone, for a moment you breathe. That was a sentiment I heard again and again. Yet for women, and especially widowed women, there is no collective space to gather. Men have many spaces, widowed or married, however. So, in that way, we decided, can we somehow form a space where everyone comes together, uh, maybe once a month, once a week, and in that process, let's see what happens. So we created the circle and it ran for around, not regularly because the rhythm kept changing, but in between COVID happened, but say from 2019 to 2023.
The
So
Maitri Gut would keep
the
meeting.
Maitri Gut,
Yeah.
and also then we invited Dr. Poddar, so that the re-traumatization doesn't happen in ways of sharing, or so just for him to be there.
Yeah. No, as a facilitator, he plays a role, very important role in sort of leading the conversation.
Right.
So, you spend, in fact, there's quite a bit of time in the film spent in that room where they meet, and where in the process of sharing their grief and their experiences, so many different kinds of questions come up, which are then not just about their widowed status, but it's about themselves as women. And in a sense, this is a question that I will ask you first, but also then to Kavitha. One is that, you see sort of two, maybe more, but there are trajectories in the way we saw these conversations in the film. One is that initially Sanjivani herself is a little more reticent and doesn't speak much, and towards the end you find that she speaks more. Secondly, the kind of conversations that go on also grow in complexity and the kind of things they begin to discuss. So initially, it seems much more about sort of asserting that, no, you don't just live for your children, but you also live for yourself. It's about work. One of the women says very clearly, and with a clarity that's quite sort of, devastating, I don't know what other word to use, where she says, we not only do the same work, but we do it without incurring debt. Yeah. There's a very clear understanding also of the capability, and I'll come about that with you later, because very often women's work is invisible. But for now, and then later, when this woman brings the husband that she's married again, and even before that during Holi, there is also talk of not just duty towards children, towards work, but also a sense of selfhood, of desire, of what you might want in life if you have to restart your life. So, did you feel that over those 3 years, this is really how it sort of went? And it's very, very interesting and intriguing how that sort of complexity grew.
It's almost 5 years at least that this process went on. And absolutely, you see that change. At first, there is a lot of unspoken emotion, mixed emotions. There's a feeling of betrayal. There's a feeling of anger. The grief manifests in itself so many ways, but as they find kinship amongst each other, I guess then it moves on to other questions that are not even spoken. Sometimes even in the most urban or any, things that I think I can't even discuss in my drawing room with my relatives about remarriage. So I guess that is what I feel. so thrilled by that this space
really
grew into.
I think we have to also appreciate the fact, and I guess this is one of the aspects of the width, that you actually played this active role in setting up this Maitri Gut. You know, there are Bajat Guts, as he said, women come together for these self-help groups where they save money, and then, you know, so the idea of this Maitri Gut to sort of...
And in Bajat Guts, sometimes widowed women, as she would tell, are not allowed.
Yeah.
Even there's a separation, so there is a need for Maitri Guts to continue like these.
Kavitha, though she has her own mic. You know, given that the work, I mean, so often women's labor itself of any kind remains kind of invisible. I remember reading a census questionnaire, this is many years ago, so badly framed, actually, that there's no way that you will get the real picture of women working. The questions are framed to which almost all the time they would say, no, we don't do this, we don't. And the interpretation is that they don't work, which is one of the most ridiculous things that could happen. So, and of course, this also holds true for farmers, because these women are not just farm widows, they're farmers themselves. And could you share in your own work and experience of having worked with women farmers, what is I mean, is there more awareness among women? Has that grown, that they are actually, like we see here, that they are farmers? They're not just wives and widows of farmers, but they're farmers. And how can sort of this invisibilizing, or how can it be visibilized, the fact that these are actually working women?
After I first congratulate you on the wonderful film and the way you treated the subject, the fact that you didn't walk away, and I mean your filmmaking abilities. I incidentally am supposed to have a master's in communication, trained as a filmmaker. I mean, it's awesome what one saw there. About women's labor being invisibilized, I mean, it's a major, major issue. It's not just about what the government does in terms of its counting of, who are called as workers in our economy and so on. And that's, of course, a very systemic sort of an issue. But I think that invisibilization is across all levels. Is there a growing awareness and assertion that we are farmers? I would like to think yes. From the kind of work that, forums like Mahila Kisan Adhikar Manch, to which I also belong. I see other friends here. Dr. Sumi Krishna is here. So Makaam is a national forum which first seeks to address the fact that women farmers need a identity, as farmers in their own right. And there are large number of women who have begun, asserting it. But you would come across many women who, if you walk into their home and ask, so who are the farmers in the family? They themselves are likely to say that the man is. So it's a bit about socialization, all those things. But things are changing is what I would like to believe. To the point that I think at least policy articulations on paper have become progressive. It's not as bad as it used to be, let's say, 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
Yeah. Yes, please.
So many of the women you saw in the film, and something I miss, is them fighting for their land against their families, which even risks them being thrown out.
This happens pretty often with young women in these suicide families. The marital family is afraid that she'll start asserting her property rights and try their best to throw her out. And one has come across so many stories of the women renting a house in the same village and continuing to live there and be farm laborers and resisting and putting up a fight to somehow get. And you would come across many older women who wait out for a long time. They never get the land in their name. The sons get it. So, I mean, that's so very common. One of the key things that we keep talking about in Makaam when it comes to these women farmers, and we are talking about a substantial number, 4 lakhs is the official figure. A lot of suppressed data there. It must be far higher than that. And the fact that in the government records, they don't even know that there's a woman farmer in the family. You go to departments which might be maintaining databases, even that doesn't happen. It's of the male farmer who committed suicide. No government department ever has a database that actually has the name of the woman in the family. And very often these women spend a lifetime of having to repay outstanding loans about which she's never been consulted. She doesn't even know. People just turn up after the suicide happens, claiming that they have also lent at falana interest rate, so much money is owed, and so on. So from Makaam's side, we do talk about the women having to get identity, generally as women farmers, of course, but all these lakhs of women having to be part of some state database, their land rights having to be secured, and additionally that their outstanding loan, which is not their outstanding loan, in fact, has to be just written off. I mean, it's a funny economy where you have bankruptcy codes for various other sectors other than farming, and the riskiest enterprise
or corporates,
doesn't have any concept of, look, somebody has failed in their enterprise not because of any lack of effort from their side, but so many variables outside their control. And these women get hounded for a lifetime for repayment of those loans. We need some solution for that.
I mean, the rights to the land don't get transferred as easily, but the debt of the loan gets transferred very easily. That's quite, I mean, the irony of that is, Kinshuk, in the course of the film itself, we see, we sort of, there are instances of suicides having occurred because these women then go to those homes, and Sanjivani and that other elderly woman, I forget her name, where they go and visit to. I mean, I know you said in the beginning, and you said that over those 28 years, 400,000 suicides, more than that. And in the course of your film, in that area itself, these news things kept coming. And you had to respond to that in a sense also, and continue to film those stories. And do you want to talk a little bit?
It's just a very human response. You've been to their homes. From subjects, they become your beloved. You've eaten, you've celebrated marriages together, you have been part of the education of some kids, taking them to school. They have cared for me when I'm sick. So it just becomes a very, Parimalata, would say, oh, this and this has happened, should we go? Of course, we should go. And I saw so many suicides in these 5 years that I was able to take stock of it only after finishing the film, what we had seen. So we would go to the tehsil, and tehsil would give us 3 names. But I would be stunned because in our own skeletal network of sociology students in the rural, in Ambejogai, we would get to know every week in the radius of 50 kilometers, at least one, 50 to 100 kilometers, one suicide, coming from different directions. So it's really a bizarre situation, and grossly underreported, severely massaged, and it's everybody is kind of enmeshed in this kind of suppressing the data.
If I may flag
please.
something, I mean, part of the larger invisibilization of women's labor and women farmers also gets reflected in the fact that when a woman commits suicide, I mean, the conversation was saying that, why is it that women don't commit suicide? But if you look at the NCRB data, there's a large number recorded as housewives suicide category. And there's no real subcategorization of rural and urban women. A majority of rural women are actually engaged in agriculture. I mean, at the national level, the largest number of women counted as workers in this country are actually farmers, farmers and farm laborers engaged in agriculture. So, what this particular category of housewives suicide is camouflaging is many women farmers committing suicide also. And yes, they are more resilient. They seem more resilient, and you come across many women who are more resilient. But there are also many instances, including very, very tragic instances of young women committing suicide, already predicting that my parents may feel burdened about either my further studies or my marriage, therefore I'm taking my own life. So I'm just saying that, there's that invisibilization in the case of even suicides. And in public debates, you really don't open that discussion ever. You don't see any academic papers published on it. Even in Makaam, we haven't been able to study that set of suicides yet.
And just also want to tell that there is also a time limit within which they must register, a month or something. In different states. But in Maharashtra, it is maybe a month. That's what I remember. So you are in grief, and within which you must register the death of your husband and do the paperwork to receive any meager compensation or be also seen as a widow, and to access, anyways they are not called women farmers as you explained, so they are systematically excluded, but then also to have any kind of compensation, it has to happen within a week.
But, sorry, I think we are running out of time, but I must say...
I just wanted to open the thing. Please say.
Just this one last thing. There are many women in Maharashtra who organize themselves and, protests in Azad Maidan in Mumbai and so on, led to a very unique sort of government order being issued by the Maharashtra government, where for the first time, in no other state this exists, 14 different departments were given guidelines about how they should actually support these women farmers. And, for the first time, databases of the women farmers have been created in a state like Maharashtra. This is ameliorative sort of a thing. It doesn't deal with the structural issue of preventing suicides, but at least some things have happened, and that's come about because of collective action by these women.
Yeah. Yeah, I was about to ask if there are any comments or questions from the audience. Yeah, there is.
Hello, my name is Ashok. Kinshuk, thank you for this beautiful and delicate movie. I would like to understand, I think there were very sensitive and intimate moments that you have shot with the protagonist. I'm sure you must have taken some time to build trust with her for her to share a part of her life with you. What was the process like? Was it immediately during the grieving period, or it was after 2-3 years? If you can share, how did you build the trust, and what was the process for you to convince her that you want to make a movie of this story?
The film has been made over a period of 5 years, right? So I think, yeah, you want.
I think a certain letting go. As a documentary filmmaker, we always are selfish. We go with an agenda to film, to get a story. But in that process, if you have amazing producers, collaborators who allow you to let go of that agenda and just, I think people also see that you've come here uh, for them and not to get something out. So in that process itself, the trust starts building. And because for only in the last year did we film in the houses, but until then we were just meeting in the meeting space that we all had created together. So that allows even me as a man to exist there and not ask someone of something. Whatever discussions start going around, or I might nudge something, and then we all start talking about it. So in that sense, I guess the trust started building. Sanjivani always says she keeps a one-hand distance from everyone. But then when she saw that there was something that can come out larger than the film itself, she says she decided to trust.
Yeah, there's someone here. No, please use the mic because then everybody will be able to hear.
Did you plan that you were going to shoot a film about the suicides of farmers and then make a proposal for that and get, is that how it went about, that you planned it like that and then you got people to produce it?
Well, before he answers, I just want to quickly say that Kinshuk's engagement and interest, in a sense, and his engagement with this subject is not new. It's been there for a very long time, more than 10 years. In 2014, I know because he was a student of our college. His graduating film was a short fiction film, also based set against this backdrop, where a little child fears that his father might commit suicide. It's a film that won the best short fiction film at the National Students' Film Festival in 2015. So since then, he has stayed engaged with this. Sorry, I just felt that I had to say that because it's a long engagement with this subject. Yeah. No, please. She had, I think, a more specific question.
Absolutely. I was very fortunate enough to have a scholarship, then studied there. Then they gave a sort of a national award with which then I was able to continue. But then it coincided with the Nashik to Pune Farmers March, and the images of grandmothers walking barefoot and at night. So the title came first and then the film, and then the title gained another meaning as we went forward. First, of course, it was about men, but then slowly, as I said, the gaze shifted. So my own biases were confronted.
Yeah.
I'm Geeta Menon. and thank you. I work with also, one is invisible part of the urban sector, the domestic workers. But I just like to really, my heart was warmed to seeing the film. And thank you so much for being so respectfully bringing it out, especially the trauma and the pain and the anguish of the women farmers without having a sympathetic or condescending approach. I mean, I like the way the dignity was kept throughout. The other thing I just wanted to ask was about certain things which were so pertinent. And also, one is I didn't understand which district it was for Maharashtra. And also the fact that these circle of women, the fact that that space was there, and Maitri Sangha, no?
Maitri
What
Gut.
was it?
Gut.
Maitri. So the Maitri group was it existing before? It was something that was conceived after they came together, and in order to, this space was provided so that they could narrate their stories and also have part of the trauma. Now, one thing is that it is such a wonderful space, and two things that came out brilliantly was this whole thing about the bindi, and the other thing was brilliant was about the older woman saying that she didn't like the fact, she doesn't like, and so it shows the two generations, dilemmas and questions and all. So what was it that, one is, what was it that gave the idea? And this doctor who was there, I mean, so does this continue still?
First, I would really like to thank the organization that helped us a lot in creating this space. This is not just me and the women. It's also an NGO called Manavlok and Manaswini. They parallelly, they are sister organizations, part of each other. And they were instrumental in giving me insights, in allowing me to be there. So together we did it for as long as how I could, and most of it ran through the film funds. But now I feel it's a pilot, and this is what I am doing now, to take and wanting to have your support in taking it as far and say, hey, this should exist, this needs to exist, and you would be able to affirm this. If so, I feel at least, and so I would like it to take it to NGOs, to charitable, to funding agencies, and see what we can do. It can transform, but there needs to be some kind of a structure where they can come together more regularly and in smaller groups, because often what happens is that we have a tendency of a speech kind of, they are taught, always not heard. And a lot happens, I mean, I observed in just hearing.
Did you change along with this? Or were you always sensitive?
Sorry?
Were you always sensitive, or did you change in this process?
I think I have changed a lot. I did not know grief in my life as closely. So I lost around 3 beloved members of my family while the film was going on, and I was able to deal with the depression of my mother because also having learned from Sanjivani and Parimalatai how to be there. So some things definitely would have changed, I guess.
Okay, I think we've run out of time, so we will, I mean, of course, the idea is, as Kinshuk was saying, that you sort of he hopes that this film and the screening of this film can be used more and more to sort of not just raise awareness, but also to facilitate some of this coming together of women and the forming of these groups in whichever way possible. And I hope that
and I would also like to point that I would also like screenings, because a lot of catharsis happens after they watch the film, and so we are planning village screenings But I want them in mobile theaters, not just on a projector at night, because most women will not turn up. So if there's any way we can continue, or somebody can engage together, that would be very helpful. Thank you so much, Kavitha ji.
Yeah.
It is such a pleasure to have such a knowledgeable.
Yeah, I know the issue of language remains because it is in Marathi, and right now, of course, there are only English subtitles. The thing about other languages is that one doesn't know, because it's quite a speech-heavy film in a sense, and I don't know whether subtitles will work, because very often people are not. Subtitles is something you need to get used to watching films with subtitles. Sometimes it is voiceover. So there are different things. I mean, the language versions in India is always a very complicated thing, and there are no easy answers. But yes, I hear you. Anyway, thank you once again, Kinshuk. Thank you, Kavitha,
Swati.
for making the time to come.
Thank you, everyone.
And thank you, everyone.